بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So inshallah today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, building on what we started last week, which was about the identity, the Islamic identity. And one of the ways the Islamic identity is preserved by the Sharia or by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is through, like, one of them is by prohibiting us to imitate other identities or other people, okay, especially non-Muslims, and it could be also imitating the shaitan or imitating animals, so to protect your identity. So here's the topic is a prohibition of imitating unbelievers or non-Muslims to maintain the unique Islamic identity or the identity of the Muslim. So if you look at this picture, you'll see a lot of people who have this. You see Muslims who have these kind of haircuts, and that is a problem. That shows an identity crisis. And they might even have earrings as well. So this haircut is called qaza. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he prohibited us from having haircuts like this. Why? He said because it's the fire worshippers, not even the Christians and Jews used to have haircuts like this. It was the fire worshippers used to have this haircut. They used to cut the sides and leave the top. Okay. So if you see a Muslim having these kind of haircuts, then he has an identity crisis because he's imitating fire worshippers. Okay. And he could be imitating celebrities. It could be imitating football players, famous people, or you might even become normal for youngsters. Like even in Hargeisa, there's so many people cut their hair like this, and you just think, like, where are they getting this? Where are they seeing this? You don't see the old men cutting their hair like this. It's the media that have an identity crisis. Also, you might see. Can you see my screen? You see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what do you think is wrong with this lady who's running? It's a lady and she's wearing a hijab.
She's wearing tight clothes.
She's wearing tight clothes. Okay. So I think I took this from this picture from the news, and it's actually I think they were not allowing her to wear hijab, whilst running in this competition. Okay. But what is the problem with this? The problem is this is not even hijab, for many reasons. Sorry, so the problem with this is this woman, although she's wearing the headscarf, but that's not hijab. These clothes she's wearing, even a Muslim man is not allowed to wear this because it's tight. It's tight to the aura, okay? And also, you can't even tell if she's a man or woman. You can't tell the difference. That shows you that she's, one, imitating men. Two, she's imitating non-Muslims. Three, that hijab, whatever you put on your head, it's not going to make you, that's not hijab. Hijab is full clothing, okay? So there's people who are saying, oh, a model that's wearing hijab. No, you can't have a woman that's showing her beauty walking on the what do they call it, catwalk, and saying I'm a model and I'm wearing hijab. A woman is supposed to cover her beauty, not come on a catwalk. Or they say journalist, the first journalist to wear hijab, or TV reporter, but she just put a scarf on her head. Everything else, it just looks the same. It doesn't work like Islam doesn't work like that. Also, you see some people saying, oh, I'm half Christian. This is actually a YouTube video. I didn't watch it. Where it's saying growing up Christian and Muslim, half Pakistani, half Korean. Sometimes these videos, they make these thumbnails to grab people's attention, but I don't know the details behind that. But I saw a sheikh called Asim Hakim also. He was saying you can't be Muslim and Christian, probably responding to these people. So what do you think about this? Half Pakistani, half Korean. What do you think about this? Is that possible? Can you be half Christian and Muslim?
No, that's not how it works. Either one or the other.
Yeah, you can't be both. You have to be one or the other. Unless he was a Christian and then he became a Muslim. Or he was a Muslim and then he became a Christian. It seems like he was a Christian and then he became Muslim. But you can't say growing up Christian and Muslim at the same time. It seems like that's what he's saying, because he's saying it's half Pakistani, half Korean. You can be half different ethnicities, but you can't be half Muslim, half Christian. Okay, or Muslim and Christian at the same time. So this is called identity confusion. It's when people are imitating other identities. If I start dressing like a Nigerian and wear those big caps, those clothes, start walking in the streets of Hargeisa, or start dressing like a Zulu, what's going to happen to me? They're going to say you're in the wrong place. This is not your country. So you basically, if you're a Somali, you dress like a Somali, and you eat Somali food. But when it comes to food, and as long as it's not haram, it's okay. You can take from other cultures. But the problem is when it actually is haram. So having these haircuts, wearing these tight clothes is actually haram. The next video is here. You can see a woman. If she was just to remove a headscarf, she'd be no different to a non-Muslim woman, yeah? Because her feet are showing, her legs, the clothes are tight. This one is even more covered than many other women who are actually wearing like tight clothes and they just wear a headscarf. So even this doesn't work. Here the problem is, I think they're saying it's the feet and the legs, but there's many people who just put on a little headscarf and they think that's Islam on the hijab, but it's not. But they're imitating. They have here they look like Muslim at the top, or maybe some of it they look like Muslim. At the bottom they look like non-Muslim. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "You will follow the footsteps of the people before you, until if they were to enter a hole, you will enter it, the lizard's hole." Okay, and this is, and then they said, who are we going to follow? He said, you're going to follow the Jews and the Christians. So we're going to follow the Jews and Christians. But always, there will always be people who are not following them. Okay, so also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever imitates a people, he's one of them. Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. Whoever is friends with people, with them is one of them. Whoever is friends with Jews and Christians and mixes with them and becomes like them, then he is from them. Okay. Now, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he said, it's haram it's prohibited to imitate non-Muslims, obviously according to the Quran Hadith. But he said, if a person imitates them completely, absolute imitation, he becomes a non-Muslim. But if he partially imitates them, it could have different rulings. It could be disbelief, major sin. It could have different rulings. Okay. Okay. Here is a very important tight statement, which is imitation outwardly is evidence of imitation inwardly. You understand what that means? You understand what that means? Are you with me?
Yeah.
So if you look like people, then it's evidence that you are like them as well in your beliefs. For example, if I grow an afro and all the pop stars, the celebrities are growing afros, then there must be something, the link between us. Either I look up to them, or I like their style, I love them, whatever. Okay, if I walk into a shop and I dress like a thug, like a gangster, I have a hood, my trousers is down, I'm walking side to side, you're gonna think I'm a thief, or you're gonna stereotype me, yeah? Which is just naturally people do that. You can't say, oh, I'm actually a professional, I manage a company, or I'm a CEO. Your words don't really count. The people can look at how you look. Okay, so this is why Islam says that you shouldn't, like, even the Quran, when people said something, they said let us see Allah. Okay, so the Quraysh said to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أرنا الله أو تأتينا آية. فقال الذين لا يعلمون لولا يكلمنا الله أو تأتينا آية. Those who don't believe in Allah, they said, why don't you let us see Allah? Those who don't know what they're saying, they say, let us see Allah, speak to him, or bring us a sign. So Allah said, تشابهت قلوبهم. Okay, this is exactly how the people before you spoke. You have the same hearts, like your hearts are similar, so your words are going to be similar. So if you dress like a sheikh, or you dress like the righteous people dress, they cut their hairs in a certain way, then you would start to imitate them. You'd be like them. If you dress like a foolish person, an immoral person, you start to be like them. If a woman dresses revealing, like prostitutes, then obviously people are going to think, and they're going to treat her like she's a prostitute. This is what he's saying. Also, there's a statement here. Amr ibn As said, whoever lives in the lands of the non-Muslims, the Persians, he celebrates their festivals and he imitates them, and he dies like that, he'll be resurrected with them on the Day of Judgment. That's according to the hadith. So when a person is living with the non-Muslims, he has to make sure he's not taking part in their celebrations, he's not taking part in Christmas, Valentine's, whatever. Otherwise, he's going to be no different to them. On the Day of Judgment, you will be with, who you imitate. That's what the hadith means. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes,
Are you guys with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What does it mean to imitate people? Or imitate someone else, like other religions, other non-Muslims? It means imitating their beliefs, their worship, their specific customs, behaviors, patterns, which is exclusive to them. Okay, it's a symbol for them. So people wearing, a person who has a cross, like the Jews who have these hats, and also we're prohibited from imitating, like the shaitan. That's why we can't eat with the left. We're prohibited from imitating the Jews and Christians, whatever Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also pointed out. We're prohibited from imitating animals, certain animals, even all animals. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء بعضهم أولياء بعض. Don't take the Jews and the Christians as allies, because they are allies to themselves. So, for example, you can clearly see that today, okay, with what's happening in Palestine. Who's supporting Israel? The Americans, the French, the British, all the Europeans. Who's supporting Palestine? Is basically, at the moment, it's nobody. Nobody's supporting them. Just shows you how weak the Muslims are. So at the end, like for example, all these countries, they were supporting Ukraine, but they're not supporting Palestine. Ukraine was being invaded, and Palestine is being invaded, and they don't care. Okay, what are the boundaries? When is it counted as imitating? So for example, if you do certain things which is according to the, if a person, for example, does it with intention, without intention. Let's say if a person says, oh, I'm growing this haircut, like for example, I'm growing afro, but I'm not doing it because I'm imitating these pop stars, the celebrities. I'm just doing it for myself. With or without the intention, it's still counted. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Smiling.
Let's say somebody shaves his beard. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't be like the Jews and Christians. Don't be like the polytheists or the fire worshippers. Leave your beards and trim your mustaches. Okay, so basically, even when you have to leave, like the hadith says, don't dye your the white hair. Don't dye it black, but dye it with henna. Don't be like the Jews and Christians. They just leave their hair. They never used to dye it before. Now they probably use black. But as a Muslim, when you have white hair, you shouldn't even leave it. You should make it not black, but make it use henna. It normally comes out orange or different color. But anyway, the point is there's boundaries. So when it comes to food, clothing, if it's just normal clothing, that's fine, as long as it meets the conditions of Islam. You can wear normal clothing, you can wear a suit, you can wear trousers, as long as it fits the Islamic regulations. Okay. So you have to look at, without looking at, you have to look at where this came from and also the way it's done. You have to be different in the way, for example, like if you can't celebrate Christmas, you can't celebrate New Year's Day because of where it came from, yeah? It's based on Christianity. And even when you're doing something in ibadah, you have to do it different to them. For example, they used to fast on Ashura. We also fast, but Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we're going to add an extra day to not be like the Jews, even in our worship. Also, everything that is not restricted to them is okay. It's not imitation, like cooking and trading and eating at tables, whatever, clothing, as long as it meets the regulations, worldly affairs. Okay, why are we prohibited from imitating non-Muslims? One is because the non-Muslims' actions are not accepted by Allah and they're corrupt. Okay, so Allah is not going to accept him and you're imitating them. That doesn't make sense. He's a singer, singing music and all of that is, singing is okay, but music and all of that is haram. You can't imitate a non-Muslim, okay, in his behavior, which basically most of it leads to kufr and disbelief. Imitating them leads to Muslims submitting psychologically and showing weakness, okay, and that Sharia is basically weak. It doesn't give you a solution. So an example is when Muslims were at the peak of their power, and they were ruling Andalus, the people in France and people in Europe, they would actually say certain words in Arabic to show that they are educated. And they wear Arabic clothes, they wear Muslim clothes to show that they are, so they were imitating the Muslims. Now it's the other way. So when a Muslim is imitating, he's imitating a pop star or celebrity in America, what does that show him? That he thinks that person is better than him. You only copy someone you think is better than you. But a Muslim should always think, I am better than him because he's a kafir and I'm a Muslim. If I die like this, I will go to Jannah. He will go to hellfire forever. So that's the difference. Also, if imitating them leads to the mixing of, you can't tell the difference between, like, you can't distinguish between a Muslim and a kafir. This word they're saying, sorry. So you can't distinguish, like, let's say if you see a Somali girl, she's not wearing hijab, like there's even one lady who started teaching, she's not wearing hijab, and when I asked the family, they said her father was a non-Muslim, but you can't tell if she's a Muslim or not. You can tell from her name, you can tell, that she's Somali, but let's say if it was an Egyptian and she was dressed like that, would you be able to tell if she's Muslim or not? So if you imitate other people, you can't tell it. Your identity is kind of gone. Is that clear? Is that clear? Yeah, I'm gonna quickly go through it. So basically, also like I said, we're not allowed to imitate non-Muslims, animals, the devils. Men are not allowed to imitate women, and women are not allowed to imitate men. We're not allowed to imitate Bedouins, okay, like how they react, like in terms of their morals. Imitating non-Muslims, it leads to their affection, like loving a non-Muslim and looking up to them, okay, which is a problem because you have to know that person is a kafir and they don't like your God. They don't like, they swear at your God. They say he doesn't exist. So you can never love them. Okay, that's another problem. Also, what happens when a person imitates non-believers? There's a spread of atheism. So some people might take in some beliefs of atheism. They'll start to deny Allah's names and attributes. There will be more bid'ah. People will not be happy with Allah's judgment. They will want to change the Quran. They want to take out the words that talk about, cutting the person who steals hands off, and they want to take these things out because they want to be like the West, like they've been non-Muslims. They will end up worshipping what's created, and all the bid'ahs we talked about. They will celebrate Valentine's Day. They will exchange roses in Valentine's Day and all of that. Okay, why do people imitate non-Muslims? One, people don't know the Sharia. They don't have enough knowledge about the Islam and the value of Islam. They have a problem. There's a problem with the aqeedah, the belief. People are going away from the correct belief, blindly following people, like not knowing this is coming from non-Muslims trying to attack Islam, but just blind following other people. Muslims losing the power to kind of, be the leaders when it comes to technology and all of that, and people just stagnant. They're not progressing. Muslim countries are not progressing. Political conflict, like a lot of Muslim countries, some Muslim countries are ruled by non-Muslim rulers, okay? And sometimes weak Muslim rulers, like now everybody's watching Palestine being destroyed. They can't even say anything. Poor economic situation. A lot of Muslims now, they're fascinated with the West and how they develop, and they think they're backwards. That's why people are copying America. Even Islamic curriculums in schools in Muslim countries, it's been influenced with LGBT, and I saw in Somalia their books, they had rainbow colors and prisms of rainbow. They're trying to spread the LGBT. The non-Muslims control the media, like what's happening in Gaza now. You see, they were saying that in Islam the Muslims killed children, they beheaded them, but that was a lie. And if you go on BBC, you can always see they're always talking about, Palestine. They're talking about children of Israel being killed, which never really happened. All of that. It's all about, they're trying to hide what's happening with what happened to the Muslims. And so this is a lot of the reasons why. And then people will start to ask each other questions, and the iman will be weak. They'll start to get doubts about Islam, and also they will find Muslims will feel like they will feel strange in Muslim countries, because in non-Muslim countries as well. Like, say if people in your class are not praying, or people where you work are not, Muslims are not praying, they're going to say, why are you praying? He doesn't pray. How come you don't do this? She does this. Or how come? So if other people are not practicing, there becomes a problem for you. And there's a lot to cover here, but you can see the problems with copying non-Muslims, because it causes a lot of, the way to obviously to fix this is to learn about Islam, to tell people that we should always feel strong, proud of our identity. And to summarize, I will just leave it at that, inshallah, to say that basically you don't want to imitate other people when you have something which is better. Your Islamic identity is better. And when you're not imitating a non-Muslim, it doesn't mean that you're going to hurt them, or you're going to swear at them, or you're going to basically be violent against them. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that a Muslim should feel this honor in his identity, that if, like, the president wants to shake your hand, like we've seen in some places, you're a woman, you will not shake his hand, because your Islam tells you, this is not my, this is not me, this is not my identity. A woman doesn't shake a man's hand, that, they're foreign, things like that. That shows that identity is strong. If you become weak, you'll just shake, and the teacher will say this, and you'll just. So a Muslim should be someone who's strong, he has a strong personality and strong identity. Wallahu alam. Any questions? I went over the time.